offering shortly, and they have great eyes on it from both the ground and the air, and right through that intersection here.
Yeah,
but
green light.
Kind of interesting, just kind of low speeds right now, Juan.
Yeah, low speeds, and I think earlier we may have seen the passenger waving from the car. Desmond, I don't know if you caught that, but we're actually getting a pretty good shot there of the driver now from your camera's vantage point. At least we can see that there's at least that one person in there.
Yeah, trying to really get the zoom in here, see if we can see very much. Still kind of dark though, so I'm just going to put this back out here.
Once you zoomed in, it got a little darker. Yeah,
a better shot. Yeah, when we put in that doubler like that, that tends to happen. Making a northbound turn now onto Denker Avenue. So now getting into a residential area. The first turn we've seen the suspect take in a while. Let's take this opportunity to try to look through the windshield.
Some speed bumps there going over.
Yeah, and you look at this, just at about 20 miles an hour. So it's just kind of curious. Just never know how these pursuits are going to go. Yeah, definitely two people there. And pretty slowly over the speed bumps, giving LAPD a lot of time to get more units in place. However, if they had a spike strip on Slauson, obviously that's not going to work out for them. Making another eastbound turn now as we are on to 55th Street. So getting a little bit closer to the 10 freeway. Don't think we're going to see any spike strips here in a residential area, but down to just 15 miles an hour. Which is definitely a good thing, because we're on one of those really narrow streets right now where there's barely even room for two cars to get through.
And good news also, Desmond, I'm looking around the neighborhood there. There's not, people walking around on the sidewalk, crossing the streets, getting in and out of their cars. So that's definitely a good thing that there isn't a lot of foot traffic going on 55th Street right there. But yeah, very interesting. He was going slow when he was dealing with those speed bumps, and here we have a street with no speed bump, and he's still going extremely slow, and it looks like he may be making another turn or going forward. He's going to stay on this Normandy now?
Just crossing Normandy, staying on 55th. Yep, and slowing down even more. And so what's the suspect going to do here? If they're going to get out of the car, or sometimes we see them surrender in front of their house or in front of family members, or okay. My pilot, Colby, just let me know about LAPD's kind of paralleling the suspect here on one of the other streets here. Maybe they're going to try to get a spike strip ready if they can get in front of the unit. So you just have a couple of the cruisers here that are equipped with those spike strips, and so when they leave where they were trying to set up, they'll just get right back inside and try to fly up the street if they can, and then get back into position to drop off those spike strips. So that may be what LAPD is getting ready to do.
I often get the question when we're covering these, Desmond, is why don't these police officers zoom past the car and try to do one of those movie stunts where they basically head him off and block him off from going any further. But as we've heard from some of the experts that we have here on KCAL 9 when we are covering these pursuits, that's not how things work, especially now that they know that this person possibly has some sort of weapon. They just either have to do the spike strip, as we've been talking about. The pit, as you said, is out of the question. But again, when they do know that the driver could be possibly armed, it's a very dangerous situation. And look at this, Desmond, 8 miles an hour right now and hitting some speed bumps again.
Yeah, really just barely even getting along now at this point. And that's right. When we have that.
Did you see it? Was
right
that
there. Spike
strips, yes.
I believe, it was.
Yep.
I saw the officer yanking back there, and it sure looked like it was successful.
He didn't even try to avoid it.
No, he probably didn't even see him. That officer did a really good job of hiding behind that pickup truck right there, and it looked like a textbook attempt, and just drove. It looked like all four tires went right over that spike strip. So excellent job there by LAPD, and we may already be seeing the effects of that now as we are southbound on Vermont. But, as you were saying, they're not going to do anything like you would see in a Fast and Furious movie or something like that. They're always thinking about officer safety and the public safety. But, this might – we've got the passenger with his arms out the window. Not sure what he's motioning there. but just barely getting along. So it certainly seems that the tires are deflating,
Yeah.
and the suspect's got to wonder how much longer he can be running from the police.
Yeah, Desmond, we want to show our viewers once again, it was such a great pit maneuver. You're looking at it right there. If you take a look at your screen on the right side, the officer was right in front of that parked pickup truck. And as you said, it looks like the driver had no clue that this was going on. In fact, he didn't even try to avoid it. And now live pictures from Sky 9 showing the car has come to a complete stop. We did see the passenger making some sort of hand motion, maybe trying to communicate to officers. Look, hands are out, right, Des?
Yep.
From
yeah,
both
hands
sides.
are out, both sets of hands.
Yep.
So we saw it first from the passenger. They've definitely had enough, and it looks like the driver has as well. So let's see if any keys come flying out the window onto Vermont Avenue. Definitely what LAPD wants to see at this point. But that was one of the best spike strips I've ever seen. I probably got all 4 tires right there. Definitely with the suspect not driving too quickly, but just fantastic operation there. And now the vehicle at a stop, and hands are out the window, so definitely a good sign. And let's see if this is going to be wrapping up here shortly.
Yeah, we're going to watch this unfold here. And look at that. The door is open now. Hands are still up. A young man there with his back now to police. Obviously, he does look like he is following orders there. He put his hands down for a second. He whipped them right back up. And we're going to see what happens here next. Usually they'll have him turn around or lift up their shirt, of course, to make sure there are no weapons present or visible. Desmond, it looks like they're having him get farther away from the car, obviously for his safety, the passenger's safety, and the officer's safety there, and he is complying.
Yep, hands still up, moved. That is kind of an unusual distance here that they're making.
Is, yeah.
They're
he's
asking
walking away.
The suspect to. Well, now he's just kind of walking away. This is kind of strange, actually. Now just kind of sitting down
by the tree
on the curb.
Okay, yeah,
which
you can't sit
LAPD
down.
definitely not happy with that.
Yeah.
They want the suspect to get down on their stomach on the pavement, not sit down casually on the curb like they're waiting for an Uber or something like that. But they're going to go one at a time here.
There you go.
They'll take the driver into custody, instructing the passenger to stay in the car until that person's in handcuffs. And then they'll have the passenger come out, and then they'll come and clear the vehicle. And then we should see 4 fingers in the air.
Yeah, now he's
indicating
back
all
up
clear.
again. Okay. Well, this is real interesting, Desmond. Up, down, off to the sidewalk, back down and back up, and real interesting here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not
Okay.
sure what the issue is. Now getting down in the position that LAPD generally wants the suspect to be in.
There you go.
Now you see him all proned out there on the asphalt. So we'll have a couple of officers come in and cuff that person. They may actually even have the suspect come out now separately because they don't want the suspect sitting in the car and then have the officers get in front. And indeed, now we're seeing the door open. So this way they don't put, again, just taking every precaution, just making sure that officers aren't going to be there if potentially there is still a weapon in the car and have them be vulnerable. So now they're going to have the passenger come out, and they may even just ask that person to come back up towards them.
I think so, especially if they know there's nobody else in the car, right, Desmond? If they think the car is empty. We knew of 2 people. At least we saw the passenger wave his hands earlier, obviously the person driving the car. Do we know if there are more people inside? Or have we heard?
Unclear. You haven't heard anything.
Okay.
We only saw those 2 sets of hands go out the window, so it's certainly believed that there's only 2. But you saw the driver again kind of squirming around and moving from the middle of the lane over towards the curb. Now we're hearing that there may actually be a 3rd person in the car. So let's see what's going to happen if indeed there is someone in the back seat. We'll learn that shortly.
And what's interesting is how far they're keeping these 2 guys from where the officers are. Usually they're a little closer, or they have them back up into the officers, or at this point they've already approached the 2 to get them into handcuffs. But I guess we're just going to wait and see here if there's yet another person. We didn't see a 3rd set of hands. It looks like they're using either flashlights or something to look into the back seat of the car there, Desmond. Do you see any movement from your vantage point?
No, I haven't seen any movement through this, and once again, looks like a pretty dark rear window there.
Yeah.
Almost always, anytime we're talking about a pursuit, these people have really the dark tent on that you can't see through, which is really aggravating to LAPD. So they're still calling out commands, but you're right, we haven't seen any other sets of hands on this one. So we'll see how they approach this. Bunch of officers now moving over this way. They're looking like they might just come in and take these two suspects. Maybe they'll go. Here we go. Going up to the
they're
car.
checking the car. Yeah.
You see the green strap there, the less than lethal, and other weapons drawn. Looking in the back seat.
Will they pop the trunk?
No, you know, 4 fingers.
Yeah.
So
you saw 4 fingers?
They'll pop the trunk, but yeah, I did see the 4 fingers, so that
Okay.
indicating that the vehicle is clear. And now here come the officers to finally get these two in handcuffs.
And that is, of course, good news here. A couple of suspects wanted for assault with a deadly weapon. They led police on somewhat of a short speed pursuit through the parts of South Los Angeles there. And not too long ago, a very successful spike strip disabled the car enough that the driver stopped. And as you see here, they gave up, and now they are in the custody of officers. All right, Desmond, thank you so much for staying on top of it for us. We have some new details tonight in the mysterious and terrifying kidnapping of a Central Valley family. A couple and their 8-month-old child, along with the baby's uncle, were abducted yesterday from a business in Merced. Investigators say they were taken against their will by a man who's believed to be armed and dangerous. The sheriff has no idea why they were taken, and tonight, the family of the victims is pleading with the kidnapper to release their loved ones.
Please think for us, and I'm begging in front of